last game because they have been one of the better defensive or rebound defensive teams so far this season, but that went out the window against the Sooners. Off and running in the final Big 12 game of the day. 2 finals already that we'll get to at halftime. Bryn Gerlich, coach's daughter, leads the way. Texas Tech in red, K-State in white. Wildcats coming off a disappointing loss at number 15 Iowa State. Showed well defensively but had trouble scoring. Lost 67-56. And Missy mentioned already the loss to Oklahoma, the second top 25 opponent the last 3 for the Lady Raiders. Starting 5 for the Wildcats. Gabby Gregory to work right away and getting to the free throw line, something she struggled to do in Ames, Iowa, but has been part of her MO all season long.
She was just 9 points, 3 of 14 from the field in Ames on Wednesday, but she has been the top scorer in Big 12 play for all games so far this season. Her opportunities to get to the line come from penetration. They also come from post-ups and isolations. If I'm Texas Tech, you want to go back and look at that Iowa State tape because the Cyclones did defend her well on the block. They know that's an area of focus. But if I'm Gabby Gregory, you want to put it on the deck, get downhill, and see if you can get to the line today.
Here's the 5 for the Lady Raiders, who come in with Riley McKinney making her 15th start. Jasmine Lewis had started the last 3, the 6'4" transfer from Houston, but she's not in the lineup today. K-State not a team with size, with the sidelining of Ayoka Lee, the All-American and National Player of the Year candidate, who was injured with her knee prior to the season. Shot clock winding down. High post. Extra pass. McKinney steps back. I'm not sure she got that off. Either way, K-State gets the rebound.
And this Kansas State defense out in man to start. They did play some zone at Iowa State, but whether or not they're going to give some maybe mix and match looks this afternoon, I would think so, simply because Tech has struggled sometimes in their half-court execution. So if you could throw some different looks at them, it's going to keep them back on their heels.
Team that only makes around 5 threes a game on the Lady Raiders, and they shoot a good percentage, 36%. Not looking to get the 3 that often. Gerlich, turnaround to the left side of the lane, and the super senior rolls in the first basket for the Lady Raiders.
She's coming off 18 points, 6 boards, no turnovers in that game against Oklahoma. She's one of the top players in the league in terms of assists and assisted turnover numbers.
Shamatsi missed the 3, got her own rebound, and follows it in.
Those kind of loose plays, those are the energy ones I think Kansas State needs here early. They've got to find some rhythm offensively. That's where the struggles have been the last couple games.
Shamatsi has been a key component in K-State's big wins, and their win against Oklahoma State, which is showing now to be a pretty good victory. Shamatsi a career high 25, and the home win upset over number 4 Iowa for K-State. Shamatsi 18. Good up and under move inside for the Lady Raiders, Bre'Amber Scott.
Well, we mentioned her at the start. She's been really good from behind the 3-point line, but those isolation opportunities to go one-on-one on the block, she can take advantage there as well.
Good ball fake by Shamatsi. Good look at a 3. Bre'Amber Scott, who ranks the top 10 in both points and rebounds, gets her first board. All tied up, just a few minutes in. Back cut, and an easy lay-in for Shavers.
Great execution early. We've seen that back cut now 2 possessions for Texas Tech. They know that Kansas State's going to overplay. They're looking to anticipate, get steals. You got to take them backdoor, get to the rim.
Glenn against the zone. Buries a 3-pointer. Jalen Glenn, we opened the broadcast talking about her. 33% behind the arc.
She hit 4 at Iowa State. She's only been just in 3 in Big 12 play, about 26%. But so much of it right now is confidence as a shooter.
McKinney started to drive, waits for the back cut. K-State just takes her right out of bounds, and Gerlich will turn it over.
We're seeing a little mixed match defense, a lot of switching, a lot of help side by Kansas State. Down here for Texas Tech in front of us right now, it's been 1-3-1 on makes, and they've gone man on miss.
And they get the turnover. The pass ahead by Sundell. Shavers drives in and scores.
Jasmine Shavers has been a bright spot for Texas Tech. A mid-year transfer last year. She was a 4-star kid out of high school coming out of the state of Texas. Back in her home state, making an impact for the Lady Raiders.
Pass, Shamatsi grabs it in the zone. Tough shot off the glass, not there. So the mixed match defense plaguing K-State a bit. Shavers, little heat check 3, not there. Shinatsu was the trailer, thought about it. Now Sundell will take the three just off the iron, and the Lady Raiders the rebound. Running the other way, turning the tempo up. Bre'Amber Scott hard into Sundell, gets the shot and one.
That's transition right there for Texas Tech. They're going to take advantage when you can, that speed up the floor, but just one-on-one opportunities for Scott as she's able to finish at the rim, chance at the three-point play, and most importantly, draws that first foul on Serena Sundell. One thing Jeff Mittie and his staff cannot afford is foul trouble with these guards out front.
Sundell came into the game 6th in the conference in block shots as a point guard. Was 16, but comes up short there, and now Scott a chance to get to 5 points already.
That's kind of being that 6'1", kind of different type of point guard. Most people think of point guards are going to be 5'8", 5'9", but 6'1", she's got length. She also anticipates well, but again, important piece, she's got to stay out of foul trouble today.
Skip pass by Everett. Great find of Maupin, the freshman, who scores.
If you're going to beat a zone, you've got to find the gaps. That's what Emily Everett does, and it's off penetration to the middle of the floor. You've got to fill. Make that 1-3-1 shift. You'll find open spots.
Good start, though, by the Lady Raiders on the road. 5 of 8 against what had been against Iowa State, a pretty stingy defense by the Wildcats. Bailey Maupin, no relation to K-State's Maupin. And Maupin, the freshman, gets the shot block, or at least the pass deflection, and K-State running the other way, but too tall, and Everett's cross-court look to Gabby Gregory, and we head to a timeout. Midway through the first quarter, the Lady Raiders.
5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 block per game, leading in the top 10 of each of those categories.
Well, and Sundell right now is on the precipice of 500 or 250 more assists and 500 points, which should be one of the few players to do that in school history. Gregory still, her averages, one of the few doing it in all those categories. The free throw percentage, the rebounds, the points. Here's Everett off the drive and kicked by Gregory, who gets the rebound, but Gregory called for the offensive foul. That's her first, second on K-State. We're early going. Brian Smoller, Missy Heidrich, Jasmine Halliburton.
The biggest difference right here, Brian, I see it on both ends, is just that offensive execution and the fact that Texas Tech now 5 of their last 7 from the field. Kansas State just 1 of 6 from behind that three-point line, forcing them into deep threes, changing it up defensively here on the Lady Raiders.
2-1-2 zone that they have played a little bit here lately is what's employed at the moment. Bre'Amber Scott, tough catch and finish in the corner, and she's got 8.
That play comes from the freshman Maupin. She goes baseline. You've got to have somebody in the opposite corner. She makes a great pass to allow Scott to get her feet set.
State able to beat the trap up the court. Everett in the lane, over 2 defenders. Gets her own rebound and gets fouled. Jasmine Lewis is in the game, that 6'4" center, and it could be on her, and it is her first. Super junior, a transfer from Houston, a native of Kansas City.
She's playing about 17 minutes per game in Big 12 play, but I think if you talk to anyone associated with Texas Tech, they'll tell you one of their struggles has been finding that consistent post presence. It has been about a lot of scoring from out front in their backcourt, but having consistency in the front court, both defensively as well as to give them an offensive punch, that's what's been missing. And in a fast game where you get up and down, a lot like what they saw against Oklahoma, not a lot of great fits for those matchups. Today, different look by Kansas State, not as much size. Can these post players be more effective?
Well, after hitting her streak of 38 in a row, Everett has not quite been the same at the free throw line. It's been about 50% since. She makes 1 of 2 there, cuts the gap to 4. Back to the trap for K-State of the zone look, and Everett gets too handsy on the far side against Bailey Maupin. And the first foul on Everett.
And that trap is going to come quick. So if you're Texas Tech, you've got to be able to catch and then find somebody quickly. Either put it on the floor to create some space. That ball cannot stick against that trapping zone.
Gerlich. Travel.
One-on-one opportunities are going to be there, though, for Texas Tech, simply because you've got to honor these shooters. Whether it's Maupin and Scott out on the perimeter, Gerlich's going to get some of those looks. She just can't turn it over when she goes one-on-one.
Token pressure by the Lady Raiders. They fall back into their man defense. Glenn hit a three-pointer early. Shot clock under 10. And Sundell bumped out high by Lewis. That's her second. So 2 quick fouls by the big center of the Lady Raiders. She'll have to come out.
Yeah, it's also a struggle to try to keep them on the floor. One thing that has been an issue for Katie Farrell, who comes back in the ballgame that got the start. She has been versatile, but has fouled out of their 4 Big 12 games. So if you're Texas Tech, you've got to keep that size on the floor. Be smart when you come and help on those high ball screens.
Each side with 3 fouls. We also see Keela Freelon for the first time. Talented freshman for the Lady Raiders. This is the post guarding Shamassi at the moment. Sundell the drive and a scoop. Her first basket.
And that's where Serena Sundell's going to have to put it on the floor. You've got to be aggressive this afternoon. This team cannot just stand and camp out behind that three-point line. They've got to get that ball inside.
Everett with a near steal, but throwing it back in, threw it to the Lady Raiders. Now Maupin loses it on the step through. K-State took the possession. Red Raiders hit 6 of the last 8 shots before that miss or turnover. But still only lead by 2. Ebert, full head of steam to the basket. And an offensive foul will be called.
Great job by Bryn Gerlich to step in and take that charge. She gets her feet set in help side defense outside the restricted circle. And when you establish that position, that's exactly what you want to be able to do. You take it right in the chest. Maybe a little bit too hard, kind of one that shakes you up a little bit, but it's an outstanding defensive play. Turnover by Kansas State. Texas Tech's going the other direction.
And 2 fouls now on Ebert. Staying in there at the moment. Baseline open is Freelon, and she'll get her first basket.
She's seen limited action, but it's that athleticism of both a basketball and a track standout in high school. She gives them another versatile player in the post.
Sundell tried to back tap, couldn't get it out of play, and now here come the Lady Raiders in transition. Weitenheimer, the Oklahoma transfer, to McKinney. Weitenheimer and Gregory were teammates in Norman for a couple of years. Spin move by Shavers, and she may have just gotten a second foul on Sundell.
1-on-1, and that's the penetration right there. The struggles for Kansas State without a lot of depth in that backcourt. But drawing that foul, simply just a bit of a clear out, and you get a lot of motion, but you have to honor the shooters, so help side comes late. And Serena Sundell, as you said it right there, picks up number 2.
Actually, they're going to give the foul to Briley Glenn, who reached in on the spin. So Sundell was given a bit of grace. Still
dodged a bullet right there if you're
Absolutely.
Jeff Mittie, because you don't want to have Serena Sundell with 2 fouls, not even through the first 10 minutes of this ballgame.
A good start by the Lady Raiders on the road. They make both free throws from Shavers. She's got 5 points. K-State has won 17 in the last 20 meetings between the two, including an 82-75 win in this building last year. And a foul will be called as Glenn tried to go baseline. That could be Farrell, and it is. It's her first. So a little bit of foul issues for both teams. The whistle being blown a lot here in the early going.
Yeah, we've seen some not necessarily touch fouls, however, both teams being aggressive and trying to guard one-on-one in that penetration. And Farrell's been that player who just hasn't been able to stay on the floor long enough really to give them much of what she can do, which is a versatile player with 3-point range, a good passer and a good defender. If I'm Krista Gerlich, I want her on the floor, not on the bench.
Sundell misses the 3, and the Wildcats so far 1 of 8 from behind the arc. They average close to 8 threes a game. They take quite a few, but so far not falling. That was the trouble at Iowa State. Gerlich, tough shot in the lane, won't go, and the rebound batted to Texas Tech, tie up, and the arrow to K-State.
A hustle play right there by the freshman, as you said it, Freelon, giving them another look inside. Much more aggressive, kind of versatile posts, hybrid wing, as we probably see it now in the game, that 4-5 position. positionless basketball opportunities for players with a lot of athleticism.
Sundell threw it right to the lap of Gerlich. 4 turnovers by Kansas State. Chance for Tech to go 2 for 1 here if they hurry. Free line for Shavers. 8 for Shavers, 8 for Scott. It's an 8-point lead for the Lady Raiders.
A lot of confidence right now if you are Texas Tech, just being able to execute in the half court, much like they did in the first half at home against Oklahoma.
1 of 9, the Cats from behind the arc. 4 of 14 from the field. Lady Raiders get the ball to start the second quarter and the final word of the first.
You said it, it was the 2-for-1 opportunity here to close it out in the first quarter.
Weidenheimer looking for Moppet in the lane. And a tie-up. Well, they wave it off. It's an important tie-up call because if they do call a tie-up, the arrow would change.
Behind that three-point line, this is where the Wildcat offense gets stagnant, is that you just cannot simply settle for threes. There's an old adage, the three-point shot will shoot you in a game and it can shoot you out. If I'm Kansas State, they've got to find other ways to get to the rim. You got to attack this Texas Tech defense.
They have tried that a little bit with Emily Ebert to no avail. She's on the bench with 2 fouls. Kansas State has shot 4 free throws, which is almost equal to what they shot in Ames the other day. But not enough offense for K-State, just 4 field goals in that first quarter. A drive here and a foul on K-State.
And some switching going on by this Wildcat defense, whether it's a handoff or a high ball screen, but either way, they've just got to get themselves in better help side. A lot of reaching right now with this first half by the Wildcat defense, and has been picking up ticky-tack fouls.
Jalen Glenn gets her first. Inbound Scott through a double team and a foul on K-State. Gregory and Sundell. One of them's going to have their second. It's on Sundell.
You've got to appreciate the patience on the execution out of bounds underneath by Texas Tech. They let every option run through. And what's the last one? That's Bre'Amber Scott just going hard on a cut to get the basketball and go one-on-one. Now she's got a chance back at the free throw line. And Kansas State trying to find an answer and some energy with their defense.
Mississippi State and Little Rock, and now Texas Tech for Bre'Amber Scott in her 6th and final year of college basketball. Has a redshirt year that she used as well back in 2020. This for double figures.
Coming into her own, finding a game that is really working in the Big 12. One of the top scorers in this league right now, almost 21 points a game in Big 12 play. But the thing about Bre'Amber Scott is she's healthy. She's a young lady that has dealt with a lot of injuries and suffered last year, just never could really be healthy to be on the floor.
Actually, Chevalier, who had a career game in this building as a member of the Texas Longhorns long ago, was called for the foul.
A lot of contact, and it's going to be pretty physical here, I think, in this second quarter. Both of these teams understanding they've got to create a little bit of energy and intensity on both ends.
Well, one look at the scouting report would tell you that K-State, in the game and the loss to West Virginia, struggled with physicality. They struggled with it in Ames. Shamatsi turns and scores. So Jeff Benny was telling his team yesterday that they're going to face teams that are going to make it physical and foul every time. May or may not get called because they know K-State has not played well with it. Gerlich drive and a dish. Beautiful look. Freelon with 4.
She's got great vision, and it's one thing from the super senior and Brent Gerlich is she just keeps the ball alive, doesn't pick her dribble up in traffic, finds open players. That dump down will be there because Kansas State has to help.
Shamatsi open for a 3. Finally, K-State gets a 3-pointer to fall. Shamatsi was 7.
She was 0 of 5 from behind the three-point line at Iowa State. That has to be a confidence builder right there for the grad student. They need more offense out of Sarah Shamatsi.
And a turnover as Chevalier throws it off the foot of Gerlich. Farrell returns. Chevalier out. Transfer from UTA. Farrell played in this building as a freshman, as a member of the Mavericks. 7.7 boards. Her first trip here as a member of the Lady Raiders. Dollinger, who checked in for Sundell. Glenn, who's been nursing a bad ankle. She'll take a three-pointer and hit. Briley Glenn had been just 2 for her last 14 from behind the arc before that make.
Yeah, not the most high percentage look for Briley Glenn. Kind of went with the jab step to see if she might be able to put it on the floor, the step back three, but either way, K-State's got to continue to manufacture better offense in the half court.
Well, like you said, you can shoot your way in a game or shoot your way out with a three. K-State shot their way back in. Glenn contesting on that shot. Jalen Glenn trying to tip it to her sister. It falls to Freelon, who misses a point-blank shot. It falls to Farrell. Outlets out high, three-pointer straight on. Yes, for Shavers.
What a great possession by Texas Tech just to keep it alive. A couple offensive boards, loose rebounds, and they get a three from Shavers from the top of the key.
2 out of 3 behind the arc of the Lady Raiders, who still are shooting close to 60%. Drive and a layup by Briley Glenn doesn't go. In transition, the pass ahead, ripped away by Dollinger. It'll be out of bounds to the Lady Raiders. Weitenheimer and Moppin return for Texas Tech. Shavers and Gerlich a breather before the midway second quarter timeout.
And with Moppin on the floor and Weitenheimer, both have three-point range. So if you're Kansas State, you have to continue to honor those shooters and do a better job in their one-on-one defense and being in help side to cut off penetration.
Bre'Amber Scott stepping through the lane, and a blocking foul is called. Dollinger tried to take the charge.
Yeah, give credit to Dollinger. She's going to look to step in, but you got to see her feet. She's inside that restricted arc. Comes over late, makes some of that contact, and Bre'Amber Scott is headed back to the free throw line, where she continues to add to her scoring punch here in this first half.
Reminiscent a little bit of Jayla Hemingway from what we saw from West Virginia. Boy, the Mountaineers playing so well right now.
Absolutely, and part of that is just that downhill mentality that you want to attack off the dribble. And if no one is going to be in help side and I can beat my player one-on-one out on the perimeter, now all of a sudden I'm the one in control of the possession. I'm the person that's going to force you to have to make a decision defensively. That time, Dollinger late to get over, picks up a foul.
And it continues to roll for Bre'Amber Scott. She's got 12 points here in the first half. Again, came in averaging 21 plus a game the last 3. And now 7 of her last 13 from behind the three-point line as well. 9-point lead for the Lady Raiders. Briley Glenn, short. And the Lady Raiders get the rebound. It settles into the half court. Weitenheimer guarded by her former teammate Gregory. For Farrell in the post up. Shot clock under 10. Another one good for Bre'Amber Scott, and Jeff Biddy wants a timeout.
She is feeling it, and right now all about on one to get to the rim. All confidence for the senior, exactly what Texas Tech needed to come in this afternoon on the road to play well in Bramlage.
She and Jasmine Shavers, as you see, have combined for 26 on 8 of 10 shooting. Jalen Glenn beating the defense up, trying to find Gregory, who was unable to hit the three, and the rebound pulled down by Texas Tech. And again, K-State, they are a little dinged up. We heard about that before the game, that they have a couple of guards, Gregory one of those, Sundell and Briley Glenn, that have been nursing some ankle sprains. But now 2 games in a row, they have just shot deplorably from behind the arc and overall from the field. Hard to win in this league if you can't score. Farrell in the lane. Beautiful dump down to Freelon. She's got 6 points. Let's go to Jasmine Halliburton with more from the K-State huddle.
Hey guys, so Jeff Biddy was very adamant in that huddle. He wants them to finish plays, and they were talking about how they're being out-rebounded 12 to 6. That was the one thing that they focused on, and he wants them to pick it up on defense, take things personally on the defensive end.
Going to get some fight from this team, and it is a team that it seems to be demeanor-wise a little bit more even-keeled. They're not one that shows a lot of emotion, and right now he's trying to find that trigger point to get them to be emotive and play with passion, because they've been out-hustled in this game and in the game against West Virginia. Look at the numbers here for Tech. Look at all those shots right at the basket.
Well, and part of that is just they've been aggressive and they've executed their half-court offense, but they've also taken advantage out in transition. And right now they are dictating the pace of play and how this Kansas State team reacts. You mentioned looking for emotion, looking for energy. You can compete. I think the biggest factor right here is you're going to have to see who wants it more down the stretch.
Jalen Glenn misses a three. It's a 10-0 run the last 2.5 minutes for Texas Tech, part of a larger 20-8 run dating back to the last 2 minutes of the first quarter. Whitehammer in some trouble on a switch. Shot clock to 5. Bre'Amber Scott gets her own rebound, fouled on the putback, headed back to the free throw line.
There was a lot of contact on the initial shot, no whistle, but Bre'Amber Scott just sticks with the play. She's got 2 double-doubles on the season, and you can see why. She is tenacious on the glass. She's going to go after that basketball, and now she's going to have a chance at the free throw line. But these are the hustle plays. Right now, if you're looking for energy, you're looking for that emotional pickup. It is all with Texas Tech. This Kansas State team trying to find something to give them a spark. And there really just hasn't been a whole lot that they can hang their hat on. I think they feed off knocking down big threes, making shots, and they have not gone in, and there haven't been a lot of answers. Texas Tech making them pay for the miscues.
Bre'Amber Scott to go 7 of 7 from the line. She hits both. Came in at 84% from the line. She has dominated this game. 17 points for Bre'Amber Scott, who gets a well-deserved breather.
She's 7 of 7 from the free throw line. And those are great numbers. Just continue. We said it at the beginning. They had to get to the line. They've done that here so far today.
State able to beat the press. Get Jalen to Briley for an easy basket. Glenn to Glenn.
And sometimes you just got to find an easy way to get a layup. You got to see the ball go through the basket. This team's got to be more attack mentality. That's got to be the main way to go here the rest of the way.
That ended a 12-0 run. Jasmine Shavers was going to go, but now we have someone that turned an ankle and went down in the scores table. That's the freshman Maupin.
Yes, it looked as though she got tangled up with Serena Sundell and making a cut across, and then tried to kind of walk it off, headed towards the out of bounds here on the sideline, just a little bit here in front of us. But either way, the freshman Bailey Maupin, who is a talent. This is a top 60 player out of high school in the state of Texas. She's averaging almost 11 plus a game. You're going to see her kind of make the break here and then get caught up with Sundell, and it looks as though they may have stepped on each other. But she took the brunt of it, and she's going to come out of the ball game in substitution for Krista Gerlich. But this freshman, she was a Big 12 Freshman of the Week in the month of December. She's got range and a lot of ability here, and has been making an impact for them throughout the course of the season.
So hopefully just a rolled ankle and can get back in there. Brenna Ellis is the trainer. She's going to take a look at it. Miss Texas basketball. Bailey Maupin. Quite a recruiting coup for Texas Tech. Krista Gerlich trying to restore this program back to its glory days. It's been a while for the Lady Raiders. They have not tasted postseason since 2012-2013. Jasmine Shavers hits on the outside, and the 1-2 punch of Scott and Shavers dominating.
The skip pass, finding open shooters, and just patience in the half court. That's been the name of the game here in the first 20 minutes for Texas Tech.
59% shooting, 4 of 6 behind the arc, 9 of 9 at the line. Couldn't ask for better numbers. Jalen Glenn, mid-range, no. And the rebound, batted around, falls to Sundell. Glenn will go into the basket, miss the layup. It's somewhat summation of King State's efforts today. 8 of 24 on the Wildcats from the field, 3 of 14 from behind the arc. Shavers had the ball poked away. Briley Glenn, the lob ahead. Fouled from behind, she'll make the basket and one.
And a heads-up play by Sarah Samatsi to get that ball out in front. And that just gives her teammate, Briley Glenn, enough time to chase it down. Farrell out of position, kind of grabs from behind. They give her the continuation. And now a chance at that old-fashioned three-point play. Is this the energy? Is this the confidence builder that K-State needs? They've got 3 minutes left here in this first half. You've got to be able to whittle away at this lead for the Red Raiders. You got to do it by making plays, but you cannot leave points out on the floor. You've got to make your free throws.
K-State third in the league in free throw percentage. Did not hit the free throw there. They are 3 of 5 in the game. Gerlich doubled on the near side. Shavers, who's had the hot hand along with Scott, who's back in. Shavers will take it from the same spot and drill it again.
And no one there, and that is where you get your feet set and find shooters. Heads up play by Weitenheimer. Shavers has the hot hand, get her the basketball.
Glenn drives to the basket, she'll score with a runner. 9 for Briley Glenn.
If I'm Krista Gerlich, I'll go 3 for 2 right now. I think that's the kind of methodology when you look at what Texas Tech has been able to do with their attack mentality inside.
Block and a foul inside on Kansas State. It's on Briley Glenn. That's her second foul. And she's got 5.
Shooting 2 for Texas Tech, number 23, Bre'Amber Scott. Return to the game for K-State.
She'll have to come out, Jeff Mitty, thinking he's got to be able to kind of run a bit of a chess match now, knowing he's got some foul trouble issues with Briley Glenn, who needs to be much more of an assertive defender. You like her ability to get to the rim on the offensive end. But this K-State team's got to tighten it up defensively if they're going to put themselves back in this game.
For Scott, 8 of, now 9 of 9 is what she's going to possibly be after she makes the second free throw. Deep breath in the release. Didn't get it. Jinxed her. 8 of 9.
You did. I didn't.
You're right. It's all me. First half 18 though for Scott. Impressive stuff. Gregory calling for it deep in the post against Gerlich. Trying to get the foul. Didn't get the whistle. The ball knocked out.
But that's that isolation. We haven't seen much of that. Most of Kansas State's offense has been from the perimeter here so far this afternoon. They've got to either get to the rim and, or as you said, those isolations on the block for Gregory.
Gregory couldn't get the offensive rebound. Sundell ends up with it. Underneath it goes. The ball knocked out. It will stay with K-State.
And a lot of energy just flying around by this Texas Tech defense. They've tipped a lot of balls, kept plays kind of at bay, not allowed the Wildcats to get on runs by getting some simple garbage buckets.
Wildcats trying to find something here at the end of the first half to be a positive. Glenn, another good look. This one not in there. And Sundell trying to get the rebound is going to get fouled by Bryn Gerlich, who was blocking out Shamatsi, but somehow got called for the foul.
Yeah, those are those blockout fouls. Tough ones for players to swallow and for coaches, because you're doing exactly what you've been told. Because I got to put a body on someone and move them out of the way, but yet the whistle comes that direction. Gerlich will come out now. That is her first personal foul, but it does give her a breather here towards the end of this second quarter.
Slaga Upanen will be in her plays. Gregory, tough pass across the baseline, deflected out. Second straight game, we've seen Gregory struggle a bit. 2 points in 16 minutes for the Big 12 leading scorer.
And a lot of it is how people are defending her. You've got to know if you're going to be one of the best scorers in this league, people are going to understand what the scout is. That time, Glenn left open. That is not the scout. You've got to get out and put a hand in the face of shooters. 2
of 7 from the field, now 2 of 5 behind the arc. State traps Weitenheimer. She throws over the top. Bre'Amber Scott doubled. Good find of Shavers. Same spot on the other side of the court, no, but Texas Tech the long rebound. Almost a minute left here in this first half. First half, which the Red Raiders have shot close to 61%, and now Glenn has picked up her second foul. She's out high. She tried to knock away the ball, and that'll put the Lady Raiders at the free throw line.
You want your defense to be aggressive, but you've also got to be smart, and you don't want to foul 30, 35 feet away from the basket and give Texas Tech a chance because of that double bonus at the free throw line. Foul trouble kind of mounting now for the Wildcats as they think about heading into halftime.
Buchanan has shot just 2 free throws all season, which she'll make the first. Won the first half for the Red Raiders across the board. This is a team that is among the top 5 in the league in shooting percentage, so it's not out of character for them to shoot this well, but they have shot it, make no mistake, as well as they have all season since a 61% shooting performance at Louisiana back in November. The offense for the Wildcats as Sundell dribbles to the near side. Shot clock at 10, looking for Gregory. It's Ebert who's back in there, will let it go. That won't fall. And Gregory fouled trying to get the rebound.
Battle underneath. Gabby Gregory trying to go isolation with that post up. Weitenheimer doing a great job defensively, just battling it there, but then puts a body on her. Again, second blockout foul in a row by Texas Tech. One on Gerlich and now Weitenheimer. But they're putting a body on him. They know they can't give up those second chances.
What an inbound play. Touch pass, Shamancy to the inbounder, Sundell, and K-State gets a bucket.
Probably not one Texas Tech has seen on film, and you like that because those are the quick hits, easy buckets, confidence builders for the Cats.
I've heard it called the inbound plays of the special teams of college basketball. If you excel at that, get some free points. Final few seconds here, almost identical game clock and shot clock. K-State has the ball to begin the third. Shot misses for Bre'Amber Scott. Sundell three-quarter court won't go, but we are at the end of the bench. Last couple of games really have been popping for big numbers. Second in the league in free throw percentage as well. Krista Gerlich down a weapon here to start the second half. Tate Weitenheimer will start the second half in place of McKinney. And everybody else the same for both teams. As we go back at it, K-State with the ball first. And running the point, Jalen Glenn, not Sundell. Locked away from Serena. It'll stay with Texas Tech.
And I think if Jeff Mittie, you've got to just look at some different options. You've got to say, all right, can we move Sundell off the ball, give somebody else a chance to handle it? They've had a lot of pressure out front, haven't necessarily had great movement in the half court. This K-State team's just got to try some different things. You've got to be creative, but you got to play smart.
Deep three for Shamancy, rolls in 10 for Shamancy, her third double-figure game.
She's got to be a lift. We saw she didn't make a three at Iowa State. You can tell that that didn't help. They need that lift from the perimeter. Shamancy can give them another weapon.
Her previous double-figure games, both wins. Here, K-State caught napping on the back cut, and Shavers an easy two. She's got 19.
They used the back cut in the first half, dinged Kansas State for some easy buckets. Right out of the gate, execution in the half court. Texas Tech makes them pay.
As much as it's important for K-State to find offense, they'll also need to slow down a red-hot Red Raider offense. Glenn driving, had it knocked away, stolen away by the Lady Raiders. Turnover number 6 by K-State. Farrell full head of steam. All the way on Gregory. Wild shot, no. And the Wildcats come away with it.
And not necessarily the shot selection you want when you get the turnover on the other end. You've got to capitalize if you're Texas Tech.
Foul on Weitenheimer, working against Gregory inside. That's her second.
And I think that's probably why Weitenheimer in to start the second half, because she has been a physical presence against Gabby Gregory defensively, not afraid to body her up, kind of push and shove there when she's looking for those isolations on the low block.
Gregory just 2 points. Mid-range jumper for Gabby, not there, and the rebound to Farrell of Texas Tech. 35 combined points, now 37 combined points from Scott and Shavers. The rest of the team, 9. Here's Scott. Blocked, scores anyway!
What an offensive execution and show that Bre'Amber Scott is putting on this afternoon. Just straight one-on-one against Gabby Gregory. Late help by Shamancy, takes the contact through it to finish. And now she's got a chance at that old-fashioned three-point play. Texas Tech out of the halftime, continuing with high-level execution in the half court. That's how you win on the road. Can they keep it up? It looks as though that's the goal here, and that has been the message. You've got to execute on the road.
4th straight 20-point game for Bre'Amber Scott. Riley Glenn in front of the K-State bench has 12. State scoring. So 2 threes for the Wildcats here in the second half. That foul a moment ago was on Shamatsi, her first. Drive by Gerlich, and she'll finish around Briley Glenn.
It's straight up, just high level, bringing everybody up in front of that free throw line, Brian. Nobody in help side, and then you are just one-on-one. Kansas State doesn't have an answer for this Texas Tech penetration.
Gregory just has the ball ripped away. Steal by the Lady Raiders. Bre'Amber Scott was asking for the ball to go to the post. Gerlich, nice head fake, gets a foul on Sundell. That's going to be her third.
You go back to the Oklahoma game on Wednesday night for Texas Tech between Bryn Gerlich and Bre'Amber Scott, 41 points combined. Now it's been a much more quiet afternoon here for Gerlich, but what she does on the floor helps run this offense, put people in the right place, plays great defense. You've got to love the fight and what the Lady Raiders have brought coming out of halftime.
They have not cooled off. 3 out of 4 shooting from the field. Now 2 of 2 at the line as Gerlich makes the first. Texas Tech 13 of 15 at the line here this afternoon. They have shot 10 more free throws, now 11 more than K-State.
And K-State's come out and made some buckets here to start this half, but you can't continue to trade one for the other. The biggest factor is getting stops defensively.
Sundell gives Texas Tech a bit of their own medicine with a drive to the basket. With 3 fouls, Sundell will have to be careful. Scott. Shavers setting the screen for her out high, and a little head fake by, or head rock by Scott gets the foul call on K-State. That's Shamatsi's second.
And those high ball screens giving Kansas State a lot of trouble right now, because you've got to decide, are you going to switch or are you going to keep it? If you go underneath, well, you've got to have a hand in the face of the shooter, then it's got to be a quick switch. But a lot of movement, a lot of action away from the basketball, and that's where Texas Tech has had success.
Another great outbounds play run by Texas Tech. Shavers lays it in. She's got a 20-point game, a 21 to tie her career high. Riley Glenn into the lane, puts it up and gets a late whistle.
And there was contact that time by Gerlich, but now Jeff Mittie, I think, challenging this group that they've got to get stops on the other end. You cannot trade baskets here going 1-for-1 with Texas Tech, just simply because they have had the advantage on the offensive end. They've been able to get to the rim, they've been able to execute, knock down threes. They've done a little bit of everything. The Wildcat defense has not been able to find an answer.
Well, if I could read lips there from Jeff Mittie, he said better focus from Sundell as he was talking with her one-on-one. Briley Glenn hits both. 14 points from Briley Glenn, who had 14 in this building against Texas Tech a year ago. Subs for the Lady Raiders as they bring back Freelon inside against Shamatsi. Texas Tech, though, still shooting red hot. 60% for the game. Both teams have come out hitting shots in the second half. Freelon up high. Riley McKinney, who started today, and then commits a pretty big mistake stepping on the midcourt line to turn it over.
Yeah, a lot of pressure and a better defensive possession for the Wildcats. Just getting out and applying pressure on that switch. Jump the screen, force them to have to make a decision. McKinney wasn't ready.
Dollinger a long 3, but nobody there. And the rebound for Texas Tech. A chance perhaps for K-State to make a little bit of a run. Lob to Farrell, couldn't catch it clean. Heidenheimer's pass, if on target, would have been yet another easy layup at the rim. Heidenheimer to the baseline. Extra pass to Shavers, thrown away by Farrell. Back-to-back turnovers by Texas Tech.
Yeah, one of the few tough possessions we've seen for the Lady Raiders, just not in good sync, a little bit out of sorts, but a better job to stop penetration and cut off that line and not give up the easy baskets for Texas Tech.
Glenn, the high score today for the Wildcats. Driving to the basket, left-hand layup doesn't go, and a whistle underneath. That was on Freelon. Third on on the Lady Raiders in the corner.
She comes over and help side and draws a bit of contact. But as you can see, Briley Glenn really the only option right now, maybe the most assertive Wildcat on the floor for Jeff Mitty.
That's the key word, I think,
And
assertive.
you've got to have somebody else, though. This simply cannot just be one person that's going to help put this game back within reach.
Well, going back to your comment at the beginning of the game, the keys that we looked at right for the second half about balance. It's not just in scoring. I think Jeff Mitty would tell you it's balance in approach to the game, focus and energy and aggressiveness, balanced aggressiveness, right? You're not fouling aggressiveness, but
play smart, you can play fast, you can play smart, you can play hard. I think this is a sense of urgency, and right now, Texas Tech, much higher sense of urgency here this afternoon, coming in on the road, looking for a win.
McKinney can't hit the three. The ball tapped out by Sundell. 12-point game.
Good offense for Texas Tech right there in the half court. We've seen this execution all afternoon, and if you're Kansas State, you've got to do a better job of contesting and closing out on shooters.
Great head fake and drive. Blocked by Dollinger on Shavers, and then Scott just falling to the ground, able to get a foul.
Straight one-on-one from Shavers. She beats Dollinger, but she does get a clean block. Possession stays with Texas Tech because of the foul on the loose ball. Scott stays after it. Dollinger got beat, but she stayed with the play. And now Scott, because of the double bonus, or were they saying she was shooting? Because that is not. It's only 14 fouls on the Wildcats, so they must say she was shooting on that rebound.
On the ground, but hey, credit to Bre'Amber Scott. 10 of 12, 10 of 11 now at the line. One more coming up, 22 points for Bre'Amber Scott.
And we said it in the first half, just a nose for the basketball and tenacious on the glass. So keeps possessions alive, and Texas Tech has been able to capitalize on those opportunities.
23 for Scott, which ties her highest mark as a Red Raider. Skip pass to Briley Glenn, a guarded three is way short. Rebound collared by the Lady Raiders. Bre'Amber Scott has shot more free throws than K-State has as a team by a pretty good margin. Now you don't find 23 right now with the ball, I don't know. Texas Tech passing around the perimeter. Here's Shavers. He's had also a very good game. And she'll drill the jumper. 23 for Shavers.
That is straight up confidence right there by Jasmine Shavers. Just right in the face of Briley Glenn. Knockdown jumper.
Sundell in the lane trying to get an and one. Missed the shot, but Sundell turned the ankle maybe just a little bit. She'll get to the free throw line when we return.
Not afraid to toss her body around anymore and diving to the floor for a loose ball. She's been a delight for the crowd to watch with her tenacity and her work ethic. She doesn't score a ton of points, but she does not have to, and the team wouldn't be the same without her. That's the impact she's making halfway across the world, which her mom experienced live for the first time last week, seeing her daughter play for the first time in her collegiate career from Australia.
Yeah, that was a great sight, seeing Dollinger's family at Bramlett's Coliseum, all the signs that were up. Sister and her mom both here. Have their own cheering section across the way. Sundell makes 1 of 2, has 7 points. Long way to go. If you just joined us, Texas Tech has enjoyed a tremendous shooting day, hitting 60% of their shots. Bre'Amber Scott continues to work on a career day, misses the 3 here. And the Wildcats get a rebound. There haven't been too many missed shots. Sundell takes Weitenhammer to the basket. No. Rebound tracked down, though, by Scott. Bre'Amber Scott with 23 points, 11 of 12 at the free throw line, 8 rebounds, and 23 points from Jasmine Shavers, a new career high. Weitenhammer doubled. The ball nearly stolen, and the tie-up between Shavers and a teammate, and Shavers got rolled up on by Briley Glenn. Now, we're not going to make it Scott, excuse me. And this right here, hopefully, is nothing serious. Going to look at it here.
She kind of got her leg caught and got her left leg caught underneath. Trying to get up, see if she can't get herself not having to come out of the ball game, maybe just a little bit more those kind of as a player, those possessions will scare you a little bit just because you're not 100% sure what you felt or even maybe what you heard at that point in time. But it was a physical play, kind of everybody there. Bre'Amber Scott looks as though she's going to continue to walk it off. But the possession stays with Kansas State, or excuse me, with Texas Tech. They have 12 now on the shot clock after that tie ball.
Farrell will flip on the inbound to K-State, but as you said, Red Raider possession. Bryn Gerlich will return. Bre'Amber Scott gingerly walks it off, and now we'll head back towards the training room. That could be a developing story, no doubt. Shot clock at 1. Gerlich at the buzzer, gets it to go off the glass.
You got to take him any way you can get him right now if you are Texas Tech, but everything they have done in the half court has been a success all afternoon.
Weitenheimer knocks it away from Gregory.
And that's why Tatum Weitenheimer has been in the lineup here in this second half for Krista Gerlich, because of her defense. She has gone one-on-one with Gabby Gregory, one of the top scorers in the Big 12, and held her in check.
Lady Raiders, who led by as many as 18. Gerlich, tough shot. Couldn't get it to go. Just 2 points for Gabby Gregory in this game. Transition 3 is up, it's missing. 0 of 3 behind the arc, just 5 shots total.
And you're not going to get it all back with one shot. So if I'm Kansas State, you need to have some good execution in the half court, but this is where they've got to tighten up, is their defense.
Riley McKinney left wide open, and she buries a three-pointer. 44% behind the arc. Gregory tries to get it answered. No, and the rebound to Texas Tech. Wildcat offensive woes continue.
And this pace of play right here, exactly what the Lady Raiders want. They get stops on the other end, and then they've been able to set up in the half court. It's been isolations, one-on-one, using high ball screens. They've done a little bit of everything this afternoon.
Freelon in the lane had it knocked away for a moment, stolen away and picked away by K-State. It's out of bounds to the Wildcats.
Substitution for Texas Tech, number 41,
Weitenheimer will come out. Farrell returns.
And this now will change the matchup, and it looks as though Bryn Gerlich will take over the one-on-one matchup and assignment on Gabby Gregory, who, as you said, just continues to have the offensive struggles. 2 points, 0 of 6 from the floor.
Glenn, really the only source of offense for K-State, will drive and score. Glenn with 18 points, one off a career best. Great sign, Bre'Amber Scott back to the table. In front of us, looking to check into the next whistle for the Lady Raiders. Freelon inside, able to score. It's just been so easy for Tech on the offensive end. Gregory doubled. Good read by the Lady Raiders, and they save it from going out of bounds and keep possession.
Fantastic hustle play by both Farrell and by Shavers to keep that possession alive, to see the back cut. They have done a little bit of everything so far this afternoon. The big question mark will be, can this team close it out?
Everett reads the pass up high, and he's able to get a run out on the other end. Her first field goal. Texas Tech, which has owned this game from the get-go. A 20-12 first quarter, 24-19 second quarter, a 22-17 third quarter. Farrell through the lane, had it knocked away, falls to the baseline. Freelon, an open jumper. K-State gets the loose ball. They have the final 10 seconds. They'll have the ball to begin the fourth. Sun down the lane. Everett near the end of the first or third quarter, no. We go to the fourth. Lady Raiders looking to end 8 years.
63. And fun fact, Kansas State was the last place Dr. King gave a speech at the collegiate level. That was January 19th in 1968. The last speech he gave in a university before his death in 1968 in Memphis.
Yeah. Obviously, Martin Luther King's impact immeasurable on America. We'll celebrate Martin Luther King Day on Monday, but this being Martin Luther King weekend, you can see that statue that's outside historic Mahone Fieldhouse on the campus of Kansas State. He gave a speech just before he passed away. Three-pointer by Briley Glenn is a new career high for Glenn, her first ever 20-point game. However, her team down 15 here in the fourth quarter.
Really been the bright spot offensively for Kansas State, but I feel like the biggest struggles and where the Wildcats have been exposed the most has been on this end of the floor. A team that has hung their hat defensively just hasn't necessarily had an answer for some of the really good execution by Texas Tech this afternoon.
Riley Glenn driving the basket. Another basket for Glenn. 23 for Riley.
And now you've got to continue to up the energy. That intensity's got to go to another level here on this end of the floor. You can get answers down there, go one-on-one and attack, but you've got to have stops in the front court here for the Lady Raiders.
Only player in double figures for K-State early on was Sarah Shamatzi. Glenn now with 23. Shamatzi is 10. Here's Bre'Amber Scott. Gets fouled by Jalen Glenn. And right back to the free throw line goes Bre'Amber Scott, where she was 11 of 12.
She's had a fantastic day at the charity stripe. It was one of the keys we talked about at the very start, was that this is a really good free throw shooting team, Texas Tech is, and Scott leading the way today. But opportunities at the line then put Kansas State in foul trouble. It just changes the flow. The pace has been where they have wanted it all afternoon. Can Kansas State change that? That's got to be one of their challenges here in the next 8:48.
Super redshirt senior for Texas Tech, one of 6 super seniors on the team for the Lady Raiders. Makes the second. 25 points for Bre'Amber Scott. That is a personal best as a member of the Texas Tech squad. Riley Glenn, and travel will be called. Turnover by K-State, their 10th.
And you can see she's being aggressive. She wants to get to the middle of the floor. She's looking to penetrate, but this cannot just strictly be one-on-one. She's going to have to use her teammates, a little bit more execution, a couple more passes, get that ball moving, force Tech to guard you.
2 in double figures for the Lady Raiders. Scott and Shavers, they've owned the offensive end. Farrell, long jumper won't go. It almost feels like a missed opportunity if you don't have the ball in Shavers or Scott's hand on the offensive end. Sundell. Jalen Glenn left open. Three-pointer is short. And the rebound to Scott, who is nearing now a double-double. One more rebound. 68-53, Texas Tech. They've led by as many as 20. Scott again!
That back door has been there all afternoon, and Bre'Amber Scott just going one-on-one with the hard cut. A great feed, and Texas Tech executing like no other in the half court.
Gregory still has not hit a field goal. Gerlich looking inside. Shavers. Yes! 26 for Shavers.
That was all set up by the screen by Katie Farrell. She just gets her feet set. Serena Sundell actually pushed her over. No whistle, no call. But Shavers knocks down that three, and that might from the field. She's knocked down 4 of 7 from behind the three-point line. But it's been all about confidence and then finding open shots. There hasn't been much at all that Jasmine Shaver has rushed or forced. 10 of 14, as you see, it's come from the middle of the floor, and she's got open from behind that three-point line. Get your feet set, be ready to shoot the basketball. The redshirt freshman's number has been called, and she has delivered.
Really hasn't played for 2 seasons prior to this. Didn't play at Mississippi State the semester she was there. Sat out a year here at Texas Tech. Now getting to play kind of as a second-year redshirt freshman. She is dominating. Riley Glenn on the drive gets stripped by Gerlich. They're going to get a foul call on her. And that'll be her first foul of the fourth quarter on Texas Tech. Riley Glenn has been the bright spot for K-State. Already working on a career-high 23 points.
Yeah, spreading the floor, kind of opening things up. You've got to give them penetration lanes. So this K-State team can't clog that lane. You got to spread the floor. It's got to be really a 5-out mentality, straight 5-out. Get behind that three-point line, give space, find gaps, and then find shooters on the skip.
Glenn, 5 of 7 at the line, has 24. A new career best for her. Weitheimer in some bit of trouble. Cross midcourt, Bre'Amber, Scott, and Shavers have combined to score 63 points in this game. Actually, 53 points. Got a little ahead of himself. 53, but they've nearly outscored K-State themselves. Gerlich travel.
A little too quick on the pump fake. You got to give the official just a chance to check that pivot foot. Another turnover that time by Tech, but these are the ones here because of the pace of play. They're able to break the press and then they slow it down, and that's where I think they continue to have this game really controlled on both ends.
Riley Glenn travels and turns it over. Texas Tech has not won in the Little Apple since 2015. 8 years. They've lost 7 straight here, 9 of the last 10. In a series that they've only won 3 times against K-State in the last 20 meetings. It has been a lopsided affair towards K-State, but if Texas Tech could prove to hang out of this lead and win out today, they will have won 2 of the last 3 in the series and pick up their first win here since 2015. Shavers couldn't quite get that one to fall.
Fantastic move from the top of the key. Great defensive possession without fouling for Kansas State.
Riley Glenn's 3 off the mark. Rebound by her sister Jalen Glenn, who takes it in.
Those long rebounds on loose balls, those are the ones Kansas State has to have. But here's where they've got to get turnovers and keep the possession out of the hands of Texas Tech.
Up ahead to Bre'Amber Scott. Tackled as she goes inside, and a foul will send her, guess what, back to the free throw line.
And she takes a hard fall. There have been a lot of bodies flying all over here at Bramlage today. But they break that pressure with the pass, which is exactly what you have to do. Don't try to dribble through it. Use the pass and then attack. And that's what Scott was able to do. Put it on the floor, draw that contact back at the free throw line. She's 13 of 14 today, looking to add on to those outstanding numbers.
Misses that one.
That was my joke. I did it. You did it before. That was mine. I own that one.
Quite a performance by Scott getting to the free throw line. She has the Bramlage Coliseum record for the most free throw attempts by an opponent. Into the lane. Gets it and one.
This is where the pace has got to pick up now for Kansas State this last 5+ minutes, is it can't be a lot of static possessions, a lot of standing, a lot of just waiting for someone to make a play. Rebecca Dollinger does that, gets out in transition, draws that contact, and she's going to be at the free throw line. But the hardest part right now is that the Wildcats have to get stops. You cannot trade buckets. Sometimes this just simply becomes a math equation. But this pressure can be a problem for the Lady Raiders. You've got to be able to break it with the pass.
Dollinger finishes off three-point play. K-State's gone to some pressure here, trying to slow down Texas Tech, who, if anything, get a turnover. They have not been successful with either. 5 minutes to go in the game, and a 15-point lead for the Lady Raiders. Farrell to Scott. Got a man to jump to the basket. Easy layup.
Fantastic pump fake. And Bre'Amber Scott just proving yet again why she is one of the best guard forwards in the Big 12. Has been one of the top scorers in Big 12 play, continuing to add to her numbers this afternoon.
30 points by Scott. Red call for the offensive foul. That sends us to a timeout. All Red Raiders here at the Little Apple. Fantastic start. TCU here, but at Oklahoma State, who's absolutely on fire, and then at Kansas, which has been a difficult place here the last 2 years, the veteran team, and then Iowa State back here. So a tough schedule awaiting for the Wildcats. It's Texas Tech. Of course, they've got Texas coming up, and then on the road at West Virginia. So with both teams facing a 1-3, potential 1-4 start, today's game took on a lot of importance with who's on the schedule ahead. The Raiders break the press. Get an open three from McKinney. Couldn't hit it, but the loose ball tipped to Weitenheimer and a reset for Texas Tech.
Yeah, a little bit of everything going right now for the Lady Raiders. They've been able to execute here in the half court, and even on a miss, keep the possession and give themselves a second chance look.
Sundell gets a block, but the ball out of bounds. 6th in the league in blocks is Serena Sundell coming into play today. That's her 17th of the year. And this game number 18. Scott, who's had 30 points for the first time in her career, draws her 11th foul and is going to get to the free throw line again.
There just has not been an answer defensively for Kansas State to be able to get Bre'Amber Scott stopped. She's been able to get to the line because she's been aggressive. She puts it on the floor and then looks to draw that contact, but can also handle the contact. That's the difference. That's also an experienced player. She knows that this Kansas State team, a little bit back on their heels, they don't necessarily haven't handled physical play very well. And I think Texas Tech has been much more of the aggressor this afternoon, and Scott has led the way.
This for 32. Gets the second. A Bramlage Coliseum record 15 of 18 at the, or 16 of 18 at the free throw line. Shavers commits the foul, just her second. K-State to the line.
Now, if you're Krista Gerlach, you've got to feel pretty comfortable here sitting at a 78-59, knowing you've got yourself a big lead here on the road. But one of the things that came out of that Oklahoma game on Wednesday at home was they felt like they had played really well for about 37 minutes, and then it was the last 3 or so, or a span of 3 minutes in the fourth quarter where things got away from them. So this is the challenge for Texas Tech. Challenge for K-State is to stay in it and compete. The challenge for Texas Tech, to finish it.
Shavers, or Megan Scott again, 34 for Bre'Amber Scott. What a performance.
I love the fact that they use the pass to break the press, and they haven't tried to dribble through. They haven't gotten themselves in tough positions against this Wildcat defense. And give credit, that's to Coach Gerlich and her staff understanding what that scout is. Their press break offense, it's use the pass and get it up the floor.
Scott still needs 1 rebound for a double-double. Otherwise, an unbelievable performance. I think you can go ahead and etch her name into Big 12 Player of the Week honors.
Especially after her numbers, even in the loss to Oklahoma, played very well at home. She's going to have 20-plus points in 4 straight Big 12 games.
Incredible. Dollinger, after the ball was deflected, racing the other way with Weitenheimer, and Dollinger will left-hand lay it in. 5 points. Back-to-back games for Dollinger. 3 minutes to go in the game. McKinley, smart move, pull it out.
And this is where that pace of play for Texas Tech has been all about what they've controlled this afternoon, as they've been able to break the press and then straight up half-court execution to take time off the clock and force the Cats to guard you.
Scott again! An and 1. Unstoppable.
She's been on the glass. It's been off the dribble penetration. She's knocked down threes. One-on-one move by Farrell, but yet just gets the inside position. No one there to block her out. And a chance at that 3-point play, and she officially has a double-double.
This for 37. In the building where the NCAA scoring record was set by Ayoka Lee last year, a banner hangs in the rafters to signify 61. Bre'Amber Scott for 38 or 37 points here today. Sundell is the 3rd Wildcat in double figures with 11, but it will come in a loss. What a performance by Scott and the Lady Raiders, still hunting perhaps for 40
Yeah, there's 2+ minutes left, and I think the thing about Scott is that this has not been one of those super flashy performances. It has been workmanlike all afternoon for Texas Tech, and Katie Farrell, I think, finally saying, get that monkey off my back. I put one in. She's had some looks down low, has worked hard on the glass, and for the first time isn't at risk of fouling out in a Big 12 game. That is a big added bonus for the Lady Raiders.
Shamatzi will foul out with 2:09 to go. And Farrell to the free throw line to try and finish off a three-point play. Her first field goal, as Missy mentioned. She'll miss the free throw, get her own rebound, and find it to Scott. The hustle plays have been Texas Tech's all game long. They have shot it well, 55%. They've hit 7 of 15 threes and 22 of 26 at the free throw line. K-State's going to bring in a couple of reserves. Michaela Parks, Mimi Gatewood in off the bench for K-State as they run up the white flag, so to speak.
And you said it was a little bit of everything for this for Texas Tech to be able to come in here on the road and get themselves a win. It is difficult to win on the road. It is so hard in the Big 12. And we know with the round robin schedule, everybody beats each other up. You play everyone twice. And now we're seeing some substitutions for both teams here, getting some of their bench players some minutes late. But I think that it just never felt like Texas Tech ever didn't control the flow or the pace of this game. And that's a credit to this group of young ladies who followed their scout. They played possession offense, possession defense, and Kansas State just didn't have an answer. They looked out of sorts from the get-go and just really worked themselves this afternoon. And you have to be able to hold home court. They couldn't do that, but a huge road win for Texas Tech.
Amy Gatewood trying to create, could not. Heavenly Greer into the game for K-State as well. And the final minute 20 here of this one. Lady Raiders, who had a non-conference strength of schedule that ranked in the 200s. There's a lot of questions about Texas Tech and whether or not they'd be able to go here in the league. 40. Scott missed it. The only reason she's in the game, chasing that 40 number. Don't blame that at all. Parks, put away, full head of steam. Will get to the basket, missed the lay-in. A minute to play in this one. And Krista Gerlich will call timeout. Subs across the board to get everybody out. Texas Tech's upcoming schedule. We mentioned Texas. That'll be on Wednesday at home. What a game that'll be. Longhorns have been playing great basketball as Shaver's all smiles coming out. What a performance for her. Then they go to West Virginia, who's suddenly become a juggernaut under Dawn Plitzelweit. Baylor, and then at Oklahoma State. That won't be any easier than these two teams meet again Feb 5th.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any easy games on the conference schedule for any team. And that's what you have to be prepared for night in and night out, whether you're at home or on the road. Today, Texas Tech, they were prepared to play on the road. They came in with a scout, they came in with a game plan, they stuck to it, and they did exactly what you got to do. You got to make shots and get stops. And that's what will win you ball games in the Big 12.
Run. Ball thrown up the basket by Gatewood does not fall. The final 30 seconds being run out here by Texas Tech. They'll get to 14-4, a very valuable 2-3 in the league. K-State will fall to 12-6, 1-4. The Wildcats have lost now 3 straight, 4 of 5. Maupin with a block shot underneath.
And if you're Krista Gerlich, you've got to feel good about getting that monkey off the back. This team now getting their first win at Kansas State since 2015. That's a big accomplishment for this group. They go